Om Shanti Snehaban.
Om Shanti. Good morning, everyone. If it's okay, could you please share the Murli on the screen?
Yeah, just a minute.
So today, if you remember the Sakar Murli of yesterday, which was the Sakar Murli for us today, Baba had spoken about giving searchlight while we are in, the more we remember Baba gives us searchlight. So we were having a little churning on that subject of Baba giving us searchlight. And we'll share a little bit on that after the Murli, after the Avyak Murli we go through. But just that how much Baba enables the soul to go deeper and really check within what are the things that we need to focus on, because there's so many things which are at a subtle level which we don't catch unless we have the yoga power, and Baba gives us the strength to go deeper and to check within. So the Murli of today, which we're going to do, was originally spoken on 1987, December 27th. And the title is The Signs of Victorious Jewels Whose Intellects Have Faith. So faith also is something which strengthens over time with our understanding of knowledge and our experience with imbibing knowledge. And of course, it becomes extremely unshakable with Baba's remembrance. So the faith and the faith that leads to victory. So today, Bab Dada is looking at his victorious children everywhere whose intellects have faith. He is looking at the signs of faith in every child. And the main signs of faith are: as is your faith, accordingly, the spiritual intoxication will be visible in your actions and words and on your face at every moment. So there is Nischay, there is Nasha. Baba is getting the two words together, and how much, if we have intoxication, we have the faith that intoxication will be very visible on our face, our actions, and even words. And the words spoken with intoxication have a deep impact on those others. So you will easily experience victory in your every action and thought in a practical way. You will not experience victory not in some form of effort, but in the form of a visible fruit and a right. So what Papa says is, when something is a right, it's easily something you can achieve, you can get. So Papa says even victory is not about effort. It's something which will be easy for us. It's visible. There won't be even 1% doubt, even in your thoughts, in your elevated fortune, in your elevated life, in the Father, or in your connections and relations with the family. So the questioning and why this, why that, Baba relates that to as questions, as doubts, when we question even the scenes of drama. So all question marks will have finished, and you will have become a point who puts a full stop in every situation. When your intellect has faith, you will easily and automatically experience yourself to be a carefree emperor at every moment. That is, you will not repeatedly have to make effort to bring that awareness. You won't have to labor to say, I am an emperor, but you will be constantly stable on the elevated seat of your throne. So, what Baba says is nothing will be a labor anymore when there is faith. We'll automatically become carefree emperors and sit on our throne, which is the elevated seat in the center of the forehead. In worldly life, your stage is created according to the situation, where whether it is a stage of happiness or sorrow, you automatically stay in the experience of that stage. You don't repeatedly have to remind yourself, I am happy or I am unhappy. You easily and naturally experience the stage of being a carefree emperor. So even to be an emperor, Papa reminds us there has to be tolerance, there has to be that faith. Now in today's Murli, Papa saying, have that faith in yourself and let it be natural experience coming from the faith. So not that I have to tell myself I'm happy or I'm carefree, but the experience comes easily. In worldly life, your stage is created according to the situation. But in this powerful alokik Brahman life, your stage is not created according to the situation. For you have the elevated stage of a carefree emperor through receiving the light and might of knowledge from Bapdada and from the power of remembrance. So, we are Brahmins, and Baba says we are not dependent on situations for our stage. Our stage comes from having remembrance and having that stage where we get power from Baba, so nothing of the external disturbs the soul. So you would refer to this as receiving the inheritance of powers, of knowledge and yoga from Baba. In Brahman life, you attain your stage through the inheritance from Baba, through the blessings from the Satguru, and the elevated fortune you receive from the bestower of fortune. If your stage is based on the situation, then who is more powerful? The situation would be more powerful, would it not? So if that is influencing the soul, then that is more powerful. Those who create their stage on the basis of situation can never become unshakable and immovable. So there's this dependency, even at a subtle level, on external support, external things. Then Baba says, soul cannot be unshakable and immovable. In a minute, in a life without knowledge, 1 minute they are dancing with a lot of happiness, and the next minute they are sleeping on their stomachs. So, very fluctuating in stages. So, Baba says, in a Alaukic life, you don't have a stage of such fluctuation. You are not dependent on the situation, but on the basis of your inheritance, blessings, and your elevated stage. So our stage is created, and we are dependent on what we are internally. So what we are receiving from Baba and the blessings and the elevated stage. So you transform the situation. So because of this, one whose intellect has faith is always a carefree emperor. You worry when something is lacking or something is missing or something is not happening as per what we expect. But if you are an embodiment of all attainments, we know that everything that's happening is beneficial, is perfect as drama. There's nothing lacking and nothing missing. So Baba says, if you are an embodiment of all attainments, if you are a master, almighty authority, what is there to worry about? So that feeling that I already have everything, I am full, that feeling of contentment, and that's what brings bliss. So what Baba says, if you know you're full, you know you're powerful, then what is there to worry about? There's nothing lacking, there's nothing missing, and there's nothing to lose. When your intellect has faith, you always surrender to Baba. To surrender means to surrender completely. To surrender every trace and progeny, whether it is the progeny of vices that brings you into body consciousness. So Baba says, if there is faith, you will be a carefree emperor. If there is faith, you will also surrender completely. And surrendering the I and the my, the vices that bring us into body consciousness. The progeny of bodily relations, or the progeny of a desire for temporary things associated with the body. All of these things are included in the progeny. So when Baba talks about desires, Baba says, be ignorant to the knowledge of desires. And when Baba says ignorant, means even to have a knowledge of a desire can pull the intellect outwards. And the more the intellect is pulled outwards, the more we lose our self-control. So the worldly desires will always pull the intellect outside, whereas the spiritual, pure desires will keep the intellect within, paying attention on the self. So to be completely surrendered and to be a complete renunciate are the same thing. So when Baba says that surrendering and being a renunciate are the same, when you give everything which is limited to Baba, and what you get in return is unlimited and spiritual. So which is everlasting or long lasting. So Baba says, completely surrender and become a complete renunciate, and it's the same thing. To surrender doesn't mean that you sit in Madhuban or at the center. To offer yourself a service is a step on the ladder, but to surrender yourself completely is the destination of the ladder. So the service we do is a step forward on the ladder, but to really give up everything which is limited, bodily related, which is related to body consciousness, to give up everything, Baba says, and that complete surrender is the destination of the ladder. You have climbed one step of the ladder, but the sign of one whose intellect has faith, who reaches the destination, is that he would have surrendered all three progenies. So now Baba says, the one who has completely surrendered or renounced and reached to that top of the ladder, the destination, has surrendered all the three progenies. So you now know all three things very clearly. Do you? Do you not? All progeny ends when there isn't the slightest trace of it, even in your dreams or thoughts. So Baba says you have the vices and you have the progeny of the vices, which are more on the subtle side. And so Baba says, have you finished, when you finish it, all these are completely destroyed within all these progenies. And it to such an extent that they don't even come up in your thoughts or any trace of it, even in your dreams. Then Baba says, then you have completely gotten rid of it, such that even the slightest trace doesn't remain. Or sometimes Baba says the tail remains, and from the tail again it becomes a full-fledged, it comes back in its full-fledged form. So if any trace remains, a progeny will be created. This is why the definition of a complete renunciate is extremely deep. And Baba will tell you more at some other time. One whose intellect has faith, so Baba says, will be carefree. So Baba reminds us that there will be victory, will be carefree. And when you're carefree, then also with faith, you will be unshakable and immovable. And there will be complete surrender and complete renunciation. So one whose intellect has faith will always be carefree and free from worry. He will experience the intoxication of guaranteed victory in every situation. Faith enables you to experience being carefree with a guarantee at every moment. So Baba says that there is a full-fledged guarantee of victory when there is full faith. Such a soul will always remain intoxicated, and seeing his intoxication, others too will experience that spiritual intoxication. Now, the victory is when you can make others equal to yourselves, to connect them to Baba so that they can claim their inheritance. And with your intoxication, Baba says, the others experience that intoxication. And whatever you say reaches the hearts. So he will give others an experience of spiritual intoxication with help from Baba and his own stage. So there is Baba's help, of course, but it all starts with our own stage. So the intoxication that we experience is through our stage and Baba's remembrance, and that's what we offer to others. So what would be the specialities of someone whose intellect has faith and who stays in spiritual intoxication? So there is Nishchay, there's Nasha. So Baba says, what is the speciality of those? First, to the extent that there is elevated intoxication, he would accordingly have humility in every act of life. So it's interesting how Baba is bringing all the pieces of puzzle together. He's talking about faith, and with faith, intoxication, then being carefree. And Baba says, with intoxication, there will also be humility. Because of having the speciality of humility, he would have a creative intellect. So Baba says, if you have humility, the intellect also becomes very creative. He would pay attention to the intellect to the extent that it is humble, so it is creative. Creative means that intellect can then generate newness, new ideas, new ways of doing things. So the creativeness comes as the intellect is more and more clean, clear, humble. So you speak of renewal. So his intellect would be the one that brings about renewal, a transformation, an intellect that can bring about a change. He would be creative and also humble. So Baba said there is faith, and with faith there is intoxication, and then accordingly there is humility, and that humility brings creativity. And that's bringing about renewal. So, where there are these specialities, such a person is called victorious because his intellect has faith. An instrument, creative and humble. What would be the language of the one whose intellect has faith? So now Baba's focusing on what would the words be like. One was, how would that soul be? Very humble. The next is the one who has faith, to be constantly sweet in his language is a common thing, but the one whose intellects have faith, but he would also have generosity. And generosity means he would have the generosity to make all souls move forward, you first and not me. So the renouncing of the I and my and putting others in front. You go first. So there's upliftment in that soul's heart for other souls and for them to move forward. So generosity means to keep others ahead, just as Father Brahma always kept Mother Jagadamba and the children at the front. So he would say, Jagadamba is cleverer than I am. These children are cleverer than I am. So how much generosity Baba had, humility Baba had to keep the children in front. So this is the language of generosity. Where there is generosity, where you don't have any desire to keep yourself in the front, then according to the drama, you automatically receive the fruit you desire. So drama will bring you in the front, but only when you keep others in the front, and that's your true intention. Generosity, upliftment of others. Others move forward. The more you stay in the stage of being ignorant of desires, the more Baba and the family consider you to be worthy and keep you in the front. So how wonderfully Baba said, the more I become free from all these worldly desires and purely become Baba's instrument, the one who is generous with humility, with generosity, Baba says automatically the family, Baba, will always keep you in the front. So your name will always appear in Baba's list, always as the ones in the front. So those who say you first in their minds cannot be left behind. And Baba says in your heart, right? So you say it with that pure intention from your heart. They say you first in their minds, and so they are automatically put first by everyone. However, someone with this desire would not be. So if you in a subtle form have the desire being in the front, then we know as per drama, that doesn't happen. So it's to let go and truly be that instrument Baba wants us to be. So the language of someone whose intellect has faith is that of generosity. Like Baba says, it's not about sweet words, but it's about being generous, the language of contentment, the language of benefiting everyone. So, how Baba said, generosity means you keep others in front and you think about their upliftment. And that will come when the soul itself is content and full from inside. And there is the feeling of benevolence of benefiting others. Someone with such language would be said to be victorious because his intellect has faith. So when Baba said, with faith comes humility, with faith comes generosity, and both these things then become important means with which the soul becomes victorious. All of your intellects have faith, do they not? Because faith is the foundation. However, when the storms of situations of Maya or sanskars and the different forms of nature come, you then know how strong the foundation of your faith is. So you can only check how your foundation is doing when the storms come. Otherwise, it will remain fine. So that's why Baba says Maya brings her storms to check your faith and how strong is it. So, like Baba said, we are not like worldly souls who get affected by situations. We are the ones who have to be unshakable, immovable, sitting on the throne of the eternal throne. So, in this old world, you have different types of storms, do you not? Sometimes of the wind, sometimes of the ocean. In the same way, here too, you have different types of storms. What does a storm do? It first blows you and then it throws you. So it will blow you up and then throw you somewhere. So here storms also first pull you to themselves with pleasure. So just like blowing, you pulling, here too, the intellect is pulled to something which appears to be like pleasure, but falsely shown as pleasure. So they take you high in some temporary intoxication. Because Maya also knows that you will not go to her unless there is some attainment. Right? So Maya is also very, very clever. Baba says she also knows that the intellect will go where there's attainment. So she takes us into the trap of temporary attainment or artificial. So she first makes you fly high with an artificial attainment. Just for example, someone was praised for the seva they did, and that, gave a false pleasure in terms of, oh, I did this, I did that. But truly, it's the ego, but it appears to be like a false or an artificial attainment. And then she drops you down in a falling stage. So blowing up and then throwing down. So Baba says she'll drop you into the falling stage. She is clever. So the vision of those whose intellects have faith is that of the three eyes, three netri. So Baba says now if you have faith, then you are also three netri. Today Baba is telling us so much about faith, so many deep points. So they see the three aspects of time with their third eyes, and so they can therefore never be deceived. So past, present, and future. So if I hold on to any temporary attainment, thinking of it as pleasure, so what will be the future outcome of it? So they're easily able to then see the deception of Maya beforehand. So Baba says they can never be deceived. So faith is tested at the time of a storm. Just as storms uproot the foundation of big and old trees, so these storms of Maya also try to uproot the foundation of your faith. However, the result is that the foundation is not uprooted that much, but it shakes a lot. So Baba says it's not completely uprooted, but it shakes. The foundation even becomes weak because of being shaken. So at such a time, check the foundation of your faith. Think we can pause here. And we can just take a minute to reflect on what Baba said, because Baba shared so many deep points today. So as for what Baba said today in the Murli, the emphasis was completely on faith and how faith brings intoxication. That intoxication makes you a carefree emperor where there is no worry. And Baba said, the worry also comes because when we feel there is something missing, something lacking, or an insecurity of losing something. But Baba says, when you have faith and you are aware of your attainments, that attainments and experiencing it, and you experience being full and content within, there will definitely be no worries for that soul, and that soul becomes a carefree emperor. And then even how Baba mentioned so many beautiful points, that from the faith there comes humility, and where the soul and humility, again, it's about being full from inside. And with that experience of being full, having so much respect for the self and for the respect for the others as well. And with that humility, Baba said, there's creativity, which brings renewal, which brings transformation. And also there is generosity, how Baba mentioned very beautifully that Brahma Baba kept everyone in the front, Mama and the children. And he said, they are clever than me. So, and that generosity was all about uplifting others, thinking about the benefit of others, and keeping others first in front of you. And then those souls who are completely ignorant of desires of I and my, and totally surrender themselves, then how Papa said even drama puts them first in the list, even as the list of instruments for service, Baba will always look at the one who is humble, who is generous, and free from all the limited desires. So, Baba gives us a lot of ways in which we can keep checking inside what are the subtle things we may be holding. And like Baba said, progeny, the progeny still remains. So if a progeny remains, it will come. Baba said, the sign is, Baba said, it will come in your thought or it will come in your dream. So when you've completely finished or destroyed a particular old sanskara, Baba says no trace means not a single thought or it won't come in your dream. So, the checking and like Baba gives us the searchlight, and the searchlight is really for us to go within and search what are the hidden weaknesses this I, the soul, may be carrying, any subtle expectations, any desires, any emotional dependencies which takes the intellect outside. So when we do this, and Baba gives the searchlight, means Baba gives us the power to go deeper and deeper into our own selves. And searchlight also means to see Baba the way Baba wants to see myself the way Baba sees me, which means as a pure, complete soul, but free from all this. So, bringing about that inner transformation to reach the complete and the perfect stage. So, Papa shared some wonderful points, and if you'd like to share, please do so.
Om Shanti. Yeah, it's a beautiful Murli. I like this two concepts, this faith and intoxication. That is Nishchay and Nasha. And also sometimes Baba says Nishana. These three, Nasha, Nishchay, or Nishana, they are perfect recipe for victory, perfect recipe for success. And so practical are these points. I mean, they are like, and so many benefits of, as you described, the summary of the today's Murli. Definitely, these are worth inculcating in practical life, and they will definitely. I mean, I was also sort of, the more I am aware of these three aspects, I think the Purusharth also becomes Tibra. It takes speed and accuracy both. So thank you, Baba. It's a good point which I wanted to share. Om Shanti.
Yeah, Om Shanti. So another point that I liked is this the generosity that Baba brought out, the language, the generosity that each one needs to have you first instead of me first, so that um, uh, having that intense desire inside to benefit everyone. And Baba says that actually automatically we receive that respect and position without we seeking for it. So it's like those who keeping others in front, right? They are actually in the front. They are automatically placed in the front by drama, or because of that karma. So Baba highlighted on this, that the greatest generosity is to putting others first. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Like Baba also mentions that when you chase shadows, you won't be able to catch them, but when you face the sun, all the shadows will follow you. So when we truly let go desires and follow Baba Srimat and only remember him, then automatically Baba says, whatever were your desires, they get fulfilled. But of course, it's not coming out of body conscious, but truly it's because of the renunciation of the desires. So how Baba said that renunciation is there, and to have that complete renunciation. And even today, Baba said to be a carefree emperor. And, Baba always says, if you want to be an emperor, you need to tolerate. Aap sahan karoge to shahenshah banenge. And even tolerance, it comes from an inner stability. And it's the third power from our 8 powers, with the first one being withdraw, which means I step back, and pack up, which means I let go of the past thoughts or any other waste thoughts. And when I'm able to do both of them, what starts to develop is a sense of inner stability. And that inner stability then allows me to share something positive or pure with anyone who may even giving me something negative or wasteful. So Baba also said that, with with faith, you do become an carefree emperor. So even when there is that faith, we are able to use our powers and put them into use such that we attain a stage of being unshakable, immovable, and we're not influenced by external situations, but our stage becomes completely free from external forces and the vibrations. And it is based off of what blessings we receive from Baba, our inheritance. And that is what Baba says then makes it an elevated stage. Anyone else would like to share?
Om Shanti, I would like to share one aspect, like the more faith and intoxication we have, I mean, as a soul, we have towards the Supreme Soul and our true identity, the more, in the same proportion, we'll have our inner faculties like mind, intellect, and sanskars will, the ministers will obey us, obey the soul. They will be more faithful and more intoxicated that who's my master? Om Shanti. I mean, they're interconnected. So the
Right.
soul shall become a self-sovereign soul. So only thing is, as a soul, I should be totally faithful towards Baba, the supreme authority, the creator, and so will the creation. My creation will also be, faithful and intoxicated in the kingdom. Everybody will be with zeal and enthusiasm and this intoxication, and they will be faithful to the master. Om Shanti.
And now, since Baba mentioned about finishing even the progeny, and Baba related it to desires. So, how lust is actually a desire. In simple words, it's a desire that takes the intellect outside in the external, and it weakens the self-control of the soul. So any desire, impure desire coming from body consciousness, will always take the intellect outside, external, rather than focusing on the internal. And what Baba says, be free from that. Pay attention on the self, and that foundation of your faith has to be very strong, because storms of Maya will come. And Baba said, foundation is only tested when there are storms and you see how the foundation is doing. So Baba said, your foundation cannot be approved it, but it does shake, and then that shaking weakens it. So that's why Baba said, have full faith. And we know there are faith in the self, in Baba, in family, in drama, everything. So in all areas, do I have full faith, or I question it, or I have doubts in it? So today Baba asked us to even check that and do that internal checking.
Yes, and also Maya's Baba said that ki Maya will attempt through the pleasure. I mean, some kind of pleasure it will give, some short-term pleasure, and
Yeah.
that will be a trap basically. To that becomes a trap for the soul basically intellect to go haywire and get entangled in the body consciousness in the outer world. But the more the soul is having the faith that soul in the true identity, and also the companionship, the company of the God, the Almighty, then this intellect will also be faithful and it will not go haywire, even if there is a this trap set by Maya. Om Shanti.
Right. Like Baba mentioned, Maya's clever. She also takes us into temporary pleasure. But what this temporary pleasure becomes is easily achievable, and which is why we fall for the trap, because it's easy to achieve, but it's very short lasting. And then it, like Baba said, blows you up and then it throws you down. Whereas in the spiritual path, the attainments we see, they come with patience, maturity, and understanding. So it's a longer process, but it is very, very long lasting. So that's why Baba mentioned about how Maya traps us and deceives us. But even with faith, Baba said, you become a Trinetri. You are able to see how limited that pleasure or that desire could be, just momentary, and then the next moment there's a downfall. So seeing the three aspects, then Baba says, then that soul is easy, if it's easy for that soul to discern that this is a trap and not fall for it. So how faith even makes you a Trinetri. So we can end with a few minutes of remembrance. And see yourself as a point of light. You are under Baba's light. And Baba is giving me current, power, and with Baba's remembrance, I, the soul, become completely light. There is faith, and this faith makes me carefree. This faith has made me humble and generous. There is always a feeling to give. I only receive from Baba, and there is always the feeling to give to others and benefit them. And make them belong to Baba. Baba has given me a third eye with which I am protected And there is clarity of everything that's happening around. So I remember my own fortune and thank Baba from the heart. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you to Baba. Thank you, Sneha Ben. Thank you, Divine Family. See you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Until then, have a lovely day.